Yeah, well, things aren't always as they seem. Yep, having the good idea to go do something, lifestyle change, prepping, homesteading. Well, I want to talk about some of the things I didn't expect. Hey, what is up everybody? How are you guys doing? Thanks for checking out this video. Support for the channel is awesome. I do appreciate it. And yeah, starting homesteading. I talk about this a lot. I say, you know, if you do have the means to go buy some land, homestead, I'll get into that. And start trying to work towards self-sufficiency. I still think that's a really good idea. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you live in Newark, New Jersey, or you're out on in a trailer in the middle of the desert in Phoenix, you know, wherever. It's a good idea to go out and homestead with the prepper mentality. But there's a couple things that I came across that I didn't really expect on the level that actually happened. I kind of expected it, but when the realization comes into play, it's a little bit different, and it was a little bit of an eye-opener. So I want to go over a few things that I noticed going from an apartment in a city my whole life, having everything taken care of, to buying a homestead and starting homesteading. Now I do want to touch on this real quick, homesteading. Now I grew up, I'm not going to say I grew up, when I was a kid. Around 10 years old, I remember, I think it was a TV program or something like that, that they were talking about the frontiers of Alaska is the last place you can homestead. If you want to homestead, that is the place to go. And they followed a couple people that went and did it, and you basically went to, I guess it was about half of the state, very rugged terrain, very hard to get in and out of, free land. You go stake your own land. Say, I want this 100 acres, and Alaska said, there you go, congratulations. So you can stake it, cut down your trees, build your house, start your life, start your gardening, get some cows and sheep flown in by helicopter, whatever you got to do. That was homesteading. So the modern version of homesteading is basically if you have a couple animals in a garden, you're a homesteader. Now, I am kind of running with that. Obviously, Bluefoot Homestead, I am on board with that. But I don't believe it is the true meaning of homesteading. There are people that homestead here. There are people that buy plots of land, cut down the trees, build their house, and do everything from a tent. That is homesteading. I bought this house. It had some raised garden beds, a chicken coop, which I haven't really used. That's where the death layers were, but that's going to get torn down. Never really used it. Built new chicken coops. So that's kind of where I stand on homesteading. With that said, there are a few things that just was a good realization that set in after I started doing this. First thing is, it's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work to do this. Just going to work, come home, check on a garden, cook dinner, watch a movie, go to bed. That's kind of what I was used to for the most part, but that's not the way it is. Especially when I was out working 14-hour days, 16-hour days, the schedule that I've had, it was almost impossible. I was kind of able to keep up on a garden, but working those kind of hours, I'd just come home, eat, go to bed, wake up, eat, go to work. That was it. That's all I had time for. Since I haven't been working, I have freed up that 14 hours, and I've been able to get a whole lot done. Building coops, building a garden, getting everything taken care of with the garden, tending the chickens, making sure that's all good, raising chickens from little chicks. Everything has been able to go a lot easier. I can change the substrates, I can give the chickens fresh areas, I can keep up on the weeds, all this stuff. So if you want to homestead, which I recommend, and you're working a full-time job, or both people are working a full-time job, one, to be able to make this happen, the homestead, and two, to be able to pay your bills. You're going to have to do it. So when you're working full-time, it's extremely difficult to get the time to do things. Now, I don't have cattle, I don't have sheep, goats, I don't have any of that. I just have chickens in a garden. Again, I would like to upgrade to either goats or sheep or something like that. Cattle is a far stretch for me because I do not have the experience. Now, I came into this with zero experience. I've never had to work on a house. I've never had to really work on a car. I've done a little work on cars. I've done very minimal work on houses. I've never had to worry about anything. Everything's been under a management company. If something goes wrong, I pick up the phone, make a call, the next day it's fixed. That has been my whole life. That's not the way it is now. So it's a lot of work. And I want to say this too. Your living room is not your living room. Your living room is your break room. Your garage or shed or work shed becomes your living room, and your garage becomes your fields and all that kind of stuff. So everything kind of shifts. I go in and sit down every once in a while just to cool down. I've been out for a couple hours doing things, sit down in my recliner and just kind of relax, have a nice glass of tea, enjoy some of the air conditioning and stuff like that. And then we'll sit and talk about, well, put something on. There's nothing on really, so watch whatever you want. And it's like, I'm only here for about 5 minutes and I got to get back out and finish some stuff. So my living room became my break room. And another thing when it comes to, having any animals or anything like that, it doesn't matter your health. It doesn't matter your schedule. The animals don't care. They're going to have their needs as they need them. They're going to need fed and watered as they're needed. They're going to need any sort of medical attention as needed, not on your work schedule, not when you feel like it. When it needs done, it needs done. If you got to wake up 2 hours early before work and only get about 4 hours of sleep, that's what you got to do. Luckily, my mornings were nights and nights were mornings because I work nights. So after work was the morning routine, to where a lot of things were noticed and needed, letting the chickens out, seeing any issues with the chickens or anything like that. So that worked out okay with me. But when it comes to a 9-to-5 job, well, you might have to wake up early to be able to take care of things. It ain't easy. Another thing is, along the lines of that, it's failures. I have been failing constantly with the garden. This year is looking pretty good, but still failures. I think I put too much nitrogen into the garden beds, and well, everything's looking kind of steroided up. Possibly a little bit too much. Yeah, it shouldn't really be looking that way, but I'm gonna cross my fingers. We got a lot of water coming. We got basically a whole week of rain. So hopefully it'll flush a little bit of that nitrogen down, even though it's going to hold in the soil. And I might go out and sprinkle on a little potassium and phosphate just to balance that out a little bit and make sure that there's going to be fruit and vegetable production. But failures, you're going to have failures. Chicken tractors, it's the big hot topic. If you have chickens, you have to have a chicken tractor. You absolutely have one, otherwise it's inhumane for the chickens and the food and all that stuff. So I went out and I built a chicken tractor, and I built it out of PVC and chicken wire and hardware cloth and all this stuff, and I killed every single one of those chickens. Lessons learned, mistakes, failures. With that specifically, it wasn't near heavy enough, and raccoons just lifted up the lid and snatched a chicken and put it back down, or whatever took the chickens. It was way too easy to go in and get yourself a buffet of chickens. Lesson learned, failures. That was a lot of chickens. That was months of hard work of getting them up to the pullet size, a large pullet, medium pullet. Live and learn. You're going to fail at about everything constantly, unless you're just the jack of all trades of homesteading before you even get into homesteading, and hey, everything's going to go good. Another failure that we had that I actually had nothing to do with is the bees. I did a video about the bees. I wasn't sure what happened. The owner of the bees, we were leasing a little bit of land to the beekeepers to place the beehives out there. They all died. There wasn't enough flowers and there wasn't enough water. So even at a professional level, this guy does it for a living all around the state of Missouri, places these out for honey production. He failed as well. He knew what he was looking at, and it still failed. So we got 1 year that was good. We got a lot of honey out of it and payment. But the second year's a failure. I don't know if they're going to be coming back for a third year just because of the way it looks. Even though I got a lot of flowers coming in, I got a lot of vegetables and a garden right at that spot. So even professionals, even if you think you know everything that you need to do, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. Now, if you don't know how to be handy, if you don't know how to fix things, it's going to be very difficult. You're out homesteading. We're pretty far away. We can't get a plumber out here. We can't get an electrician out here. We can get a carpenter because, well, we're surrounded by Amish, but that's basically it. We live in an Amish community. There are not contractors that come out to the Amish communities. Maybe if you have to pour concrete or something like that, they might contract that out. But other than that, everybody builds and fixes everything that is theirs. They don't hire somebody. They might call a friend. They might have a neighbor come over and have a little community to get something fixed, but you're on your own. You're on your own. Now, if you do an urban homestead or something like that, that's going to be completely different. But we are out 15, 20 miles from a small town, a small city, if you will, that has basically no resources, and we're roughly an hour, 50 miles away from anything that is resources, which they're not coming out to save us. It's up to me. And just as a note, that goes into emergency services, fire department, police, sheriff's department. There's no police here, but we do have sheriff county. So yeah, nobody's wanting to come out to the sticks to help out some redneck homesteader. And another thing, possibly the most important thing for SHTF is there's no such thing as a pansy here. Well, flowers. But yeah, no cupcakes in this area. No blue-haired liberals protesting, chaining themselves to a tree. No. It's all extremely conservative here. Extremely right-leaning Republican. And a lot of military vets. Now, as it'd be very different in an apartment. I mean, the last apartment that I was in, I'm not even a fighter, and I'm pretty confident I could whoop everybody's ass in that apartment building. There's one guy, big old Mexican dude, cool guy. We both did the same type of work, so we had that connection there. But he was a pretty big dude that would definitely put up a good fight, or possibly whoop my butt. So it's like maybe 5% of the people that I was around that were an actual threat to me. Now, when it comes to the equalizer of self-defense, not even worried. Homesteading, I'm worried. I've never been a hunter. I've never been good with a long gun. I can handle my way around an AR, but when it comes to hunting and all that kind of stuff, I'm clueless. Everybody within a 200-mile radius of where I live is very efficient with a 30-06, a 6.5, a 243, whatever it is, deer hunting rifles. They know how to shoot. They know how to reload. They know what the recoil is. They know how to put a bead on something, to scope something, to find something, to track something, to know when animals are moving. Everybody around here knows this. Everybody around here knows how to use a firearm pretty well. And not only is it just hunting rifles, yeah, there's a lot of ARs, Barrett 50 cals, SIG 365, whatever, your handguns, revolvers. Actually, a lot of revolvers here. A lot of people carry 44s, at least I've seen them on the hip as much as anything else. So yes, formidable, peers in this area. So certain things aren't going to be that easy. This can be a catch-22 completely. It can work heavily against you, and it could work very much in your defense. You know, if somebody's coming in from Tulsa and there's a mob of people, yeah, I'm in pretty good shape. If there's a couple neighbors that go rogue that try to take over other houses and start killing people, well, those people are going to know what they're doing a little bit more than if you're living in a city in Seattle in an apartment complex that has an HOA attached to it and everybody's just, so cheery, you know. Very different world here than it is living in a city or anything like that. So something I didn't really see, something I didn't really expect. I mean, that's one thing that I expected, but I didn't expect it on this level. Religion, church is another thing. This is, in the Ozarks, the Bible Belt. Everybody goes to church. Everybody fears God. It's just the way it is here. We run our schedules on Sundays according to the church schedule. So that's the way it goes. I did expect church. I did expect God to be very relevant here, but it's more than I thought. It's a lot more than I thought. That's cool. I got no problem with it. 100% on board with it. But it's just something that I didn't expect. I was going to touch real quick on when I was talking about failures. Something I didn't really think about when I was saying it, and it just kind of popped in my mind, but predators. When it comes to chickens and animals and stuff like that, you have to have a guardian dog, multiple guardian dogs, or you got to keep tabs on everything because animals will eat, especially around the spring. Babies are born. The first time a mama getting out to go get some food, they're going to get food, whether you want them to or not. So predators are another issue that I didn't really think about when I was in Arizona thinking about doing the homestead thing. I knew it existed, but I didn't realize it was going to take out 100, 150 of my chickens. So there's that. The other thing is wildlife on that note, but more of the creepy crawly type. The ticks, spiders. We get a lot of ticks here. Our property isn't that bad. Properties around me that have more trees and stuff like that seem to have a little bit more of a problem with ticks. But if you get out onto a homestead, you're going to have these creepy crawlies. Another thing is Arizona, we got black widow, scorpions, things that want to kill you. Out here, they got brown recluse. That's a Midwest thing. We're kind of right on the area for brown recluse. Being some of the heaviest populated areas of them, at least. We're right on the tree line of the West Coast and East Coast. It's not so bad in the plains of Oklahoma, Kansas, and stuff like that, but when you get into Missouri to Tennessee, well, the ticks start getting pretty bad. Ticks are an issue. I knew there'd be ticks here. In fact, when we came out and visited, kind of walked around, looked at a couple properties and stuff, and we went back to Arizona, the next night, there was a tick in our bed. There's no ticks in Arizona. So we brought that in either on a plane or through a week of storm chasing that I was doing at the time, but it made it into our bed in Phoenix, and we had a tick in Phoenix. Ticks are an issue. Alpha-gal, Lyme disease, stuff like that are a major concern. A lot of people get it out here. I'm paranoid of that. I didn't expect it. Yes, I knew they had ticks. I didn't expect it was this much of an issue though, because I've gotten ticks as a kid out in Georgia and stuff like that when I was on the East Coast. You just pick them off and go about your day, but it's different here. It's a different breed of tick. They're carrying different diseases, and it is crippling when you get some of these diseases. So brown recluse. Yes, they have brown recluse. I did not realize I would see them crawling across something on a daily basis. As we're kind of getting into the spring season, early summer, I'm seeing them around a lot of places. I'm not going to say daily, but I'll probably kill one once a week. And I'm digging through wood piles. I am got my hands in a lot of areas where, well, a little eight-legged creature that wants solitude might be hiding. So that's kind of a wake-up call. Luckily, I've only gotten one or two in the house. I ain't down with spiders. I don't like them. I don't like black widows, wolf spiders, nothing. But you kind of see my garage and you see there's a lot of little things around and there's a lot of places for them to hide. I do find them up on this workbench quite a bit. Just one of those things, didn't really expect, and it doesn't matter even if you're not going in the Ozarks. When you go from a city out to the country, you're going to have these things. Some of them can bite, some of them can sting, some of them might be a copperhead sitting under a tomato plant that you might have just, well, not really caught at first, maybe thought it was just some dead leaves, and you go down to reach to pick them up and get snapped. So yeah, the wildlife, the bugs, the critters, creepy crawlies, they're no joke out here. Okay, next thing, a little bit of touching on it so far, but gardening. I came in with a black thumb. I could not grow anything. I had to learn this, and I'm learning it, and I'm getting there. It's taken a couple years of trial and error, lots and lots of failures, but learning how everything is. Just because you can buy a squash or a grape tree, a grapevine at your local Costco or Walmart doesn't mean it's right to grow. That took a little while for me to figure out. I've tried fig trees 3 times, different scenarios each time, trying to make it work. Absolutely cannot make it work. The time I get that tree home is the best condition it's in. As soon as I put it in the ground, I've checked soil pH, just as an example. Haven't been able to do it. Even though the Farmer's Almanac might say, like for me, I'm in 6B, according to the Farmer's Almanac. According to other people, I'm 6A. According to myself, I have learned that I have a microclimate within the climate. I run cooler. I run quite a bit cooler. So if it's between a 6A or a 6B, I believe A is higher. Then it goes to 5B, 5A, if I remember that right. I'm on the colder point of 6A, or of 6, I should say, zone 6. It's taken a while to figure that out. It's taken a while to figure out when to plant things, because reading a book isn't going to do it. Online, YouTube definitely is not going to do it. They don't know your soil type. They don't know your microclimate. They don't know any of the stuff that you have in your specific garden to make things grow. Your pH level, your all the amenities that you put into your soil, how good is your soil, all that comes into play. I didn't know that. When I first got here, I basically went to Walmart, Home Depot, bought a crap load of plants, put them all on the ground and crossed my fingers. I didn't fertilize them. I didn't really take care of them. I didn't prune them. I didn't take off any of the bottom leaves. I didn't keep the tomatoes off of the ground. I didn't do anything. I put them in the ground and just said, grow, feed me. Because that's all I knew. I didn't know how to garden. I didn't know how to grow anything. And I'm still learning. Like, for instance, I'm sitting here looking at these. This was my first batch. These went in the end of February, and this is catnip. So I did something drastically wrong with this. I don't know what it is. By the way, these trays, I am not digging them. That's another thing when it comes to gardening. I want to go bigger. And not so much bigger. It's going to be a little bit bigger, but I'm going to go from here down to about right there. It's kind of hard to see. So I'm going to about double the depth of these to make them a little bit better. Hopefully be able to get things to grow a little bit more for a little bit longer period of time. Really, they only get about 1.5 inches tall, and that's about it. So yeah, live and learn. Failures. Soil. Looking into soil on YouTube. Well, you can go spend a lot of money on starter soil, or you can make your own for nothing. That's the exact same thing. I get that over and over and over. Well, I first started using the cocoa coir. I just did a video about it recently on how I make my own seed starting mix. That did okay. Then I started kind of just trying different things, and I found out about 50% cocoa coir, 25% sieved potting soil, and 25% topsoil from my yard. Seemed to do the best. I seem to have the best luck. Things just really thrived in that combination. What's the pH level? I don't even know. What's the nitrogen and sulfur content, magnesium content in the soil? I don't know. So is that going to work for you? Probably not. Now, cocoa core, perlite, vermiculite, that's just a base. That is going to work. It's got decent retention and draining, and that's all it is. Now, if you're going to want to get a little nitrogen or any sort of fertilizer into it, you're going to have to add that in. If you need anything other than just the base, something to hold the seed, something to hold the roots temporarily, you're going to have to add that in. That is something I should have put in the video. But I didn't put it in the video because, well, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this out. I'm still trying to figure out what kind of soil and size pot. Like, here we go. We got Brussels sprouts. You can see all these growing. I have 2 amaranth growing right here. Nothing. Actually getting a couple sprouts. They might be weeds. You know, so did I plant this right? No, I should plant things, there you go, a little bit better so they all come up at the same time. I should plant things to where they grow at the same rate. I should plant things to where they get the same amount of water instead of just complete random things thrown in here because I thought they're all separated. They're not going to affect each other. They're in their own little microclimate, if you will. And everything should be fine. Yeah, well, once you get a Brussels sprout this tall, it is going to need something very different than that amaranth that's a 1/2 inch tall trying to grow and do its best. You're going to take care of these at this point totally different. So lessons learned. It's ever growing. Everything is a constant learning experience. Everything is makeshift. You need a new door frame. Well, you're probably going to use the wood that you have laying around. Being resourceful of things, the wood that's on your land. Anything like that. Animals that are on your land, whether they are caged in and domesticated or wild animals. Wild animals, I mean, I've had to dispose of carcasses before. The wild animals were already on my property, so I lured them away and put them on the far corner of the lot, the furthest away from the chicken coop, and then I'll put my carcasses there for the raccoons, possums, whatever wants to eat it is going to go ahead and eat them a little bit further away than coming in close and looking for live meat. So yes, it's a lot of failures. I guess that's basically what it boils down to, but I wanted to break it apart into different categories here. Homesteading is a series of failures until you kind of land something that works. And then once that works, you're only going to have that for a temporary time because that is not going to work forever. Nothing is ever going to work forever. Our climate changes. We have rainy summers, dry summers. Like we've had some very dry summers. Winter this year was extremely mild. Late winter into spring was extra wet. Much more wet than other things, and pretty much all my trees got scab and fungal issues from the extra moisture that we've gotten. So what I did last year to the trees isn't going to be what I do this year to the trees, and not going to be what I do next year for the trees. Animals, garden, plants, seed starts, that applies to everything homesteading. So yeah, that's what it basically boils down to. Everything is making stuff up, inventing things. You're not going to be able to just call somebody to come out and fix something for you. You got to figure it out. You got to get the parts. You got to have parts on hand so you can do things on the fly and quick, like a water break or something like that. Have extra PVC fittings, shark bites, whatever you need. But everything in homesteading, completely conclusive, is just a lot of work, and you do it all yourself. Now, it's rewarding when things go good. It's frustrating when things go bad, but you always have to just figure it out. You have to figure it out. So I will go ahead and leave it with that. I just wanted to share a little bit of my experience of going from having everything in my life taken care of for a small fee, which was more than worth it, honestly, to doing everything myself for free, which is worth it, honestly. Much more rewarding when you're doing stuff like that. So yeah, I just realized I got a hole right there in one of my Brussels sprouts. Something's chewing them up a little early, but I've got these sitting outside. So there you go, trial and error. Maybe not put these outside so young to where they get munched down on by bugs. So it might stunt the growth, it might kill it right here, and may never get it in the ground. So yes, things are difficult, things are time consuming, and things are very rewarding when you actually get stuff done. Most importantly, you're able to be self-sufficient. You're able to supply food for your house. And that's really all that counts. And water. I've been thinking about doing a water catchment system, but not quite there yet. Don't need it as of right now, but anyway, I will leave with that. So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you are thinking about homesteading, yeah, I still highly recommend it. Property has gone up a lot, but it is still possible. There are lots that are still out there. And even if you do what I do and just buy a homestead, it's not really homesteading, I get it. But it's a way to be self-sufficient. It's a way to do the things that you're going to want to do. So still highly recommend it. So thanks for checking out this video, and I'll leave it with that. So till next time, peace.